Okay, so we're gonna work on another tree right now, another ficus. Right now he propped it up to the angle that, he likes to see this in. So this one also needs to be propped up, when we go in to repot at a later time. He's gonna go through, clean out everything first, and then kind of work from there. And like I said before, pick these up from somebody that has taken some lessons from my dad before. That's why you see this nylon polyester string that's in use.
佢自己拉得唔夠，個角度唔啱。佢跟我學，但係咧拉嘅角度唔得。
And so he learned this from my dad, but I think the angle of how he's pulling everything down is still just off a little bit. But the anchor points are correct. He has the right anchor points on this one. That he's using one central anchor point.
佢又最唔好即係跟人哋嗰啲學咧，呢度冇支佢拉條支過去，你就係唔靚噶啦，即係搭咗上去啊嘛。
即係你唔想等佢自己長翻。
我要希望佢喺度長啊嘛，佢唔得就係咪冇辦法？呢度咁就肯定唔靚噶啦。
And then so
要搭咗過去係咪？
kind of going off of how different people do this, right? So from this right here, this is the front of the tree, but because there isn't a branch right there, and maybe it looks a little bit empty, what the other person did was he pulled a branch over from the back. So you can see right here,
呢啲係學嗰啲人即係整得唔好嗰啲辦法。
just kind of pulling a branch over so that it
即係好
would
似
look
搭住。
okay from the front, but in reality, this is not really like the correct method to kind of achieve that. Ideally you want to have the branch generate on itself for that, or kind of maybe plan something a little bit different to achieve that, but not crossing it over like that. Because even when you do that, like on this other side of it, as you're turning, it doesn't really look that great. And as you're kind of going in to manipulate the branches too, like it just doesn't look as natural when you're just pulling things over as coverage.
佢好似 keep 住咁樣 green 咁樣成幅，咁你咪整出嚟唔靚，即係好似拉到去全部 green 咁樣。
不即係如果係全部綠色就望落去好睇，
但係再睇真
咧，如果你睇入啲咧，啲搭住晒。
係啦。
So this one, the way it was before, with all the leaves and everything, from far away when all the leaves are grown in, it's green, the shape of it, it does look really nice, but if you actually step in and take a closer look, you'll see branches crossing and just not very balanced, where it should be. Sometimes you want it to look really good, but it's not natural if you take a much closer look. So what he likes to do is try to achieve a more balanced and natural look. And sometimes that means, spending more time and cutting everything down and just trying to regrow it to achieve it.
I 呢條要可能拖翻高啲啲唔得。
應該係啊，因為佢已經太低啊。我覺得佢好多啲樹嗰啲都係掹得低個頭。
Yeah.
So he's playing around with that branch. He's likely gonna push him back up. It's everything might be a little bit too low right now.
咦，你到時唔好理佢啦，搭唔搭枝都冇問題啦。係斷鬼埋添，有陣時好脆嘅樹，佢啲樹係好容易斷。
That one snapped off. So I think he was trying to see if he can, bend it a little bit, and that one didn't want to stay on the tree, so it broke off.
啲樹好脆嘅，
And that happens too sometimes. 呢種樹係咪好
脆
脆？
，yeah， 好容易 crack 嘅。
Yeah, so
所以有陣時你話做 demo 咧，好驚嘅啫，即係驚佢分分鐘斷嘅啫。
呢個唔使剪啊，你唔使剪
No,
剪到
no.
七七八八先至再放鐵線啊。
要，我而家先剪啦先。
咁你箍住條鐵線做乜嘢？
我攞定嘅，嗱，我攞短啊。
He was getting ready to wire, and I was like, you didn't cut this. So we're gonna cut everything back down. 嗰一塊葉啊，剪翻短佢啊嘛，全部。
全部攞短。你唔短唔靚嘅啲樹。
So he's cutting everything.
所以嗱，佢剪啲唔剪啲都係爆啲牙唔均㗎啦，你明啊？我先整呢度 balance 先。
你揾嗰個鉗點解？
借一借力啊！你 hold 咗盤，我個鐵線收力，即係我呢個鐵線拉緊啫嘛。
嗯。
咁啊，好啲啦。
He was using the pliers to help twist
你 hold 咗個盤，
with a little bit more control. That 可以。呢一棵樹要種幾耐先至會覺得好睇靚？
呢度好快啊，2年咧又係差唔多，2年係 perfect 嘅啦啲樹。
This one will look good in about 2 years. What 2 years time put into it? This one will look really nice.
2年 OK 嘅咧。
Yeah， 因為佢基本嗰個
基本上都有
樣都有喺度。
Yeah.
And that's because it already kind of has a good shape to it already. So with some additional, reshaping and redesigning slightly, this one in 2 years will look really good. So same with this one, we're trying to like get some of the dirt out and just kind of exposing more of the root, being able to expose it more to sunlight.
This咁上下啲鐵線要拆，
幾耐？
你睇見佢差唔多食入去要拆。
So with the way that we're wiring everything, we have to keep an eye on this to make sure that as it's growing, that the wire doesn't, get eaten into the sticks into the trunk and the branches. Thái tô係咪？
Yeah， 又唔要呢條，
Yeah，
唔要呢條搞掂。
呢條啊嘛。
Yeah，
呢啲會唔會太長咧？
剪啊嘛，呢個先歪咗，如果太長咁咪剪。
覺得好似係太長。
Yeah。
So sometimes you don't have to cut off every single thing, even though you look at it and you're like, it doesn't really look right. Especially like this apex right here. If you're looking from the side, it looks like it's like a cluster of like 5-6 branches kind of coming out, which is, also not very good when it comes to, the tapering. It looks like a reverse taper because it's a big knot. But as you're working through it, from the bottom up, by the time you get up there, you can look and double check to see which branches, are best to keep and what you can eliminate. And then you can start cutting it after you make that decision once you kind of get up there. You don't always have to do it, right from the beginning. So in that cluster that he's kind of working with, he is going to be getting rid of some of it, but he was waiting to get to this point before he did that. So he's still going to continue to finish wiring it, and then everything else he's going to cut shorter or cut down or cut out. So there we go. He got rid of that one, and so that's what it's looking like right now. So I'm going to have him just to kind of check the dirt on there too. There's a section where it looks like the root is kind of maybe not as healthy looking. 係咪乾到啊？呢度呢條根？乾咗。It's like the roots like dried out or rot. 係咪乾啊？還是乾咗？嗰啲即係濕水會霉到係咪啊？Yeah。霉到係咪？ Yeah. So there's like dry rot on there. You can see. 霉到係咪要剪咗佢出嚟㗎？
剪咗出嚟好睇啲。
So we're gonna get rid of.
而家你仲要去裏邊，你而家仲要挖起啲泥啊！就睇晒啲根先靚。
呢個或者要早少少換盤係咪？佢個盤
都唔好理嘅啫，錢，但係我鋸都得啦。
我下邊加泥，
佢加啫嘛，一路加上去啫嘛。佢唔係好似我哋咁啊，唔係掹咗佢將啲根整靚佢，佢就一路嘟上去，即係佢掹起佢又加底下掹，都加上去，所以佢啲根都係胎住，即係搏捲住啦。
即係佢冇計劃。
冇，佢唔識將啲根拉平。如果係將啲根拉平就靚啦，
拉平，
即係將佢咁樣拉啊。
So I guess the way this was grown is that, every year or so, they kind of just
佢成樖掹起佢下
pulled
邊
it,
加
they
嚟，
just pulled up the tree and add more dirt to the bottom. So the roots itself, isn't really planned out, for the way it looks. So you can kind of see a little bit of the root kind of wrapping, like a wrapping around the pot, which is how it may
嗱呢
have
條唔靚，我可以唔
been
用。
like before. So he doesn't like that one, so he was going to get rid of it.
佢變咗塔都上去，係咪？
Yeah, so like what I was saying was that, because there really wasn't a whole lot of planning in how to, do this to show the roots, besides pulling it up higher every year as it's growing, where you can see like some of the roots wrapping around the pot itself. If it was planned a little bit better, where the roots were kind of like maybe flattened out a little bit and going outwards, it would lay back down a lot prettier. And then so with this way, the way that's planted and the way it is, right now he's just kind of going through, Mr. Chase going through and getting rid of some of the dirt, exposing more of the roots. And as he's going, the roots that he sees that doesn't look very well or like is rotted out, he's cleaning it out and just getting rid of it.呢個都可以嘅係咪？仲有得佢？
有。
I asked if that nub in the back earlier is okay. He says it looks still okay. It still looks okay.都可以啦，係咪？等佢再長少少先至再刮多啲，係咪？即係換盤嗰時先再。
差唔多㗎啦，佢再睇下升起點先。就最唔好依條，呢個胎住。
呢度轉嗰條啊嘛。
係啦。
可唔可以即係第時
呢度
換盤嗰時即係呃翻低佢得唔得？
都得，睇下點樣啦。
So he doesn't really like this one that's like wrapping around. This one that's
yeah.
wrapping around. So for now, we're gonna go ahead and just leave it. And once we repot, we can see if maybe at that time we can cut it, get rid of it a little bit, or cut it down, or pull it downwards and like really just cover it in the dirt.
呢個都可以。
So we are done with this one. 呢邊啊嘛係咪啊 ？No，
嗰邊片，呢邊嘅後邊，你哋一睇知道唔靚。嗰邊嗱，你睇
係咪喺度薄㗎？
佢係啲根嚟噶嘛，
即係我拉佢上去。
佢插枝啊！嗱，你呢個頸啊，呢個根嚟噶嘛，呢個放落去，即係呢個
原來係咁樣嘅，
原來係呢條根，呢條枝，
原來呢度啊嘛。
原來一條枝咁插落去。
So this tree probably this was probably like in the
Before
dirt.
你個 bench，呢個 bench，
So this was probably like a branch from before.
你係啲根咁長啊。
And then he just kept pulling it up as he was working on
呢
this
啲
over
根
the
就長
years.
咗啦。
And then so that's how we have all the roots on the bottom.
嗱，你睇到噶啦，係咪嗱？係咪？呢啲原來呢啲係響度噶嘛？呢啲根啊，即係呢個
喺
呢個
個下
bench
邊啊嘛，
係啦，
即係個底嗰個。
係啦，佢到時候掹起佢又放嚟落下邊，掹起佢又放落下邊，就係咁。
你咁樣剪到佢咁樣都可以，第時佢整翻好就可以噶啦，係咪？
而家 OK 啦，你睇呢度啊嘛，而家都 OK 啊，係咪？佢個口會埋噶啦。
Yeah, so this one
而家我哋睇呢度啊嘛，
is done.
都可以噃。
So this one was also a good purchase. So we'll kind of follow up and check in on this from time to time to see how this one is progressing.